Good evening and welcome to this edition of the Vision Root video blog from Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. I'm your host, Richard Urban. Tonight's video blog is on the topic, who is really in charge of the Family Federation movement? I'd like to begin a scripture reading from Reverend Sun Myung Moon, and it is from World Scripture 2. Advanced countries have lots of money, but whose is it? It is God's. Whose is the power? It is God's. Whose knowledge is it? It is God's as well. God is the parent of humankind. Therefore, everything that belongs to God, material, power, knowledge, and such, belongs to humankind. For this purpose, democracy appeared in modern days. In democracy, sovereignty belongs to the people, to all humankind. That is why it is believed that sovereignty should be under control of the people. Yet in reality, it is in the hands of conglomerates. At the present time, America is wealthy, but she alone should not be wealthy. She should distribute her wealth among other nations. That is the heavenly way. America must aid other nations financially, otherwise she cannot continue being wealthy. What belongs to America does not belong to America alone, but belongs to the world. That is today's scripture reading. So I'd like to talk about a very important topic, as I said. Who is in charge of the Family Federation movement? Who is really in charge? And it's fairly recently come to my attention that there's a lot of subterfuge going on. Of course, I've been made aware by Pastor Hyung-Jin Moon about the false leaders, including the various Kims, including Mr. Man-ho Kim, and how they're not real leaders, they're fraudulent. So I'd like to share with you how I found out more about that. I wasn't really looking to find out more, but God, put it into my viewport or vision, so to speak, into my, realm of being. So basically, let's review some facts. First of all, Mr. Man-ho Kim is the Chief Secretary for True Mother, Mrs. Hak Ja Moon. He's also the director of the Family Federation for World Peace and Unification International Headquarters. Well, so his wife is Mi-ae Kim. So Mrs. Mi-ae Kim has lived in Silver Spring, Maryland for approximately 8 years. But until about 5 years ago, no one knew she was actually in the area, even though she had been living here. And then she started coming to the New Hope Family Church. One interesting thing about it is, and she said she had just moved here, but in reality she had been living here for several years secretly. That's kind of strange for the wife of one of the top leaders of the unification movement. Well, where was she living? Actually, she's been living in the house of Mrs. Che, also known as Mrs. Amrine, which is a group that in 2000, the Unification Church issued a memo saying very clearly that members should not participate in this group. So wait a minute here. Why is this wife of the top leader of the unification movement living secretly at a house of a group that unification members are not supposed to be going to? Very strange. So that's a very strange thing. So it was reported also by former members of this group that Mr. Man-ho Kim also visited while she was living there, and she had been living there for approximately 8 years, up until very recently, if not still. Why did Mr. Kim never make it known, for instance, to church members, such a major church leader, or even if he wasn't as major at that time, that he was visiting and come visit the church with his wife? Never came to church with his wife. Only his wife came after she had already lived here for 3 years. So this is very, very strange. It's certainly worth looking into. So this is the wife of the top leader, basically the top leader next to True Mother of the Family Federation movement right now. So this is an extremely serious thing. And former members of that group say that Mr. Man-ho Kim did visit, to keep his green card status, visit the home, although he never came to any public meeting in the Washington, D.C. metro area. And, yeah, so that's a very serious accusation. Another accusation is, so this is already a very strange relationship. Like this, the top leader never comes to church with his wife. His wife lives in Silver Spring, Maryland here, secretly at the home of a group, a breakaway group, which has, unknown practices, but well, people say different things about it. But the point about it is that the church itself has said clearly no one should be associating with this group. So you say these things must have come to light the unification movement. Well, yes, they did. They were reported to several church leaders, including Dr. Chang Shik-yang, who's the spiritual father of Mrs. Che, Mrs. Amrine. But nothing was ever done. That's a very strange thing indeed. Also, how could this person be working as True Mother's top secretary and with such close contact with True Mother? What is really going on in the movement? Why have things gotten so strange? Why are so many things happening? Could it be related to the fact that there's been an infiltration of the movement by forces hostile to our movement, that are actually working against our movement, have actually instituted a coup? Furthermore, Mr. Yamamoto on his blog, and this is a person who, has reported on the workings of the unification movement in the past in Japan. He has reported reliably about why Christians were kidnapping members of the unification movement. And in fact, the unification movement showed appreciation on its own website for Mr. Yamamoto reporting. Well, now we have him reporting that Mr. Kim, Manho Kim, has had a lover relationship with Mrs. Che / Amrine. Is this reliable? Well, I don't know if it's 100% reliable. I can't swear, but this is a man who the church has respected in the past. But in light of the fact that already there's strange secret living of Mrs. Kim at the house, secret visits of Mr. Kim to the house. Former members report that Mr. Kim spent time personally with Mrs. Che / Amrine. This is all very strange, and this needs to be investigated. So on the UC and the Truth Facebook group, for instance, George Vargas said, Richard, allegations about so many seriousness need to be confirmed. Does evidence exist? Also, Richard, from your post, it seems that Ms. Kim left the group home. I take it that you mean she left the group. Does that sound accurate? I said, no, she still lives at the group home. It's possible she just left recently, but she's lived there at least 8 years. And there's evidence of her living there. That is not a rumor. And the group's home is occupied by group members. Yes, it's occupied by group members. If all this is true, George says, it's terrible. Mr. Kim needs to step down. Yes, Mr. Kim needs to step down. All Family Federation members should demand an inquiry into this matter. And in fact, immediately then Mr. Kim stepped down, Mr. Manho Kim. And George asks, why do they not live together, Mr. and Mrs. Kim? I write, good question. They don't attend church as a couple ever? So no, they don't attend church as a couple ever in the DC area. I don't know about other places. But considering that Miss Kim is living over here, maybe they do sometimes, but they never have here. This is all extremely strange, extremely trouble, and it needs to be investigated immediately. Mr. Manho Kim needs to step down. How is this person the top advisor to our True Mother and is a member of the Che group, a group that our church members were clearly told not to associate with 15 years ago, and when True Father refused to admit them to the registration blessing, and now a member of the group is a top leader to True Mother? This is an outrage. It's an all-out coup. This needs to be widely spread and known, and I'm making it known. So, that is my message for tonight. If you wonder why things are strange in the Family Federation, this certainly is one reason. So this is Richard Urban. I hope you found this helpful. Please do comment. Please forward this video blog. And tune in for our next installment. Do sign up for the Daily Inspiration at inspiration.visionroot.org. Thank you for listening, and have a good evening.